there was this boy that liked you and you really liked him. She gave me his name. I was like, oh yeah, I remember having such a huge crush on him. And she's like, yeah. Well, I knew that you really, really liked him, and I really, really liked him too. So I told him that you were gay and that you like girls and that you didn't like boys. And after that, he had no further interest in you herself. She was laughing so hard. Oh, and we should definitely stay in. She chatted about 3 to 5 more minutes and was like, oh, we should stay in touch. Let's exchange phone numbers.
Narcissistic people are just there to destroy. You don't know that they're destroying you. And the reason why is because they're smiling in your face. They don't show you signs that they are manipulating your life under the covers, okay? Narcissistic people are very possessive, meaning they feel like they own you. That's why I tell people, by the time a narcissist is already infiltrated in your life, I'm not trying to be mean. I'm really not trying to be mean. But by the time if a narcissist is already embedded in your life, the damage is already done. The goal is to not let them in your life in the first place. The goal is to be able to spot the narcissist and get them the hell away from you before their insidious obsession starts. It's always an obsession. It's a weird obsession that narcissists develop with their victims. It's an obsession with tearing you apart from the inside out. Okay, so I always tell men and women, first of all, don't get out there and date. And do not get out there and make friends if you don't know how to spot narcissistic behaviors. I had somebody ask me the other day, they said, oh, Mel, well, have you ever been blindsided in this area? I said in the past, but not anymore, because I'll get to the bottom of it. When I start interacting with somebody, I know what to look for. I'll get to the bottom of it. A narcissist can't sneak their way into my life. It's impossible. I will start to see discrepancies in your behavior. I'm going to start to see patterns that are identical to the last narcissist that I encountered. And then I'm going to start slowly chipping you out of my life, slowly but surely, because you know what, narcissists, you got to do stuff slowly, or, you know, that light switch is going to go off and they may end up going into a psychosis over you. Okay. So what people have to understand is narcissists are destroying your life from the inside out, which means a lot of the discrepancies that you see happening that you think is just a random coincidence, it's not. It's the narcissistic boyfriend, the narcissistic wife, the narcissistic husband, the narcissistic cousin that is pulling the strings, and you just don't know. Okay, you just don't know. I have been in church services where a woman would go up in the church service and maybe, her marriage got destroyed or she couldn't have children. And in the past, or the prophet, this would happen a lot in Africa, the prophet would look over at her friend and say, why are you, tying up your friend's life in the middle of a service? And then the friend looked shocked because she didn't think that the minister or the seer was going to see in the realms of the spirit that she was the one manipulating her friend's life and progress the whole time while playing innocent. But this is what narcissists do. They destroy your progress from the inside out. That's why you got to start asking God, reveal people to me in their true faces. That's why you'll go to sleep and you'll start seeing people's faces look like scarecrow faces, or you'll see people's faces start to look deformed, or you'll see people that you know's faces look distorted because because God's trying to show you. That's how they really look. So narcissistic people essentially destroy progress. These are the people behind the scenes in your life that appear as supporters, as lovers, as friends, but they are actually responsible. They're actually responsible for a lot of the misfortune that you've experienced. A good example of this is a lot of ladies, you got ghosted by a guy randomly, you don't know why. And it turns out that your narcissistic friend didn't want to be the only single friend and sent this person a negative email about you. You guys saw that in the last clip. Same thing with you, gentlemen. Sometimes you had a good opportunity and one of your guy friends got very jealous and sent an email to the company with something negative about you, or a video of you partying and drinking and smoking. And that's why they didn't call you back. Narcissistic people usually manipulate things behind the scenes. They're usually destroying people's lives. They just find joy in you crying to them, knowing that they destroyed your life. That is just like people who purposefully give their girlfriend or boyfriend an STD on purpose. And then when the girlfriend or boyfriend finds out, they try to act like you're the one that infected them when they infected you. But they just have a joy in hearing you on the phone, talking to your doctor about what pills you need. Yeah, narcissistic people are very dangerous. I think I've spoken about this before. I had a woman that was my friend years ago. She was a narcissist, and she knew about this guy that I really, really liked. I really, really liked this guy, and this guy really, really liked me, right? I would say back then he fell into my dream guy category. I really liked him. I unfortunately made the mistake of letting her know about this. And this guy, when I told her about how he liked me and how, he was asking me out and we were getting ready to go out and like talk and go on our date or whatever, because he wanted to give me a try, she was like, wait, he asked you out on a date? I'm like, yeah. She's like, wait, he said he's going to take you to that restaurant? I'm like, yeah. She's like, okay, all right. And she had this confused look on her face. And then not even 3 days later, he canceled on me and then he ghosted me. And then the next time me and her went out to dinner, she said, oh, how was your date? With this little smirk on her face. And I told her, I'm younger at the time. I was like, 16 at the time? I'm like, oh no, we didn't end up going. She's like, really? And she has the smirk on her face as she's eating nachos. I remember this day. And I remember I spoke to my grandmother about it. And you guys know when I talk about my grandma, you guys know my grandmother didn't play with men or women. My grandma was a very tough Taurus woman. She does not play with people at all. And she would always warn me about the tendencies of human beings. Everybody who knows my grandma knows she was very kind, not nice. She was very kind, very helpful, very generous. But one thing my grandma did not play with humans. She would always tell me, Mel, people are very evil. And if you keep that in the back of your head, you're going to live a long life and you will reach the point of life where your hair is all gray. And in our culture, when they say your hair is all gray, that is a positive thing. That means you've lived a long life to the point where your entire head is gray and you're able to live long years, right? My grandma passed away at 98. So she had a very long life. So I told my grandma, I'm like, this is what happened with the guy. We're sitting on the table. I'm like, Grandma, can you help me figure this out? Anytime I wanted to figure something out, I went to my grandmother because she knew game. She said, so wait a minute. This guy was so excited to go out with you, Mel. And all of a sudden, you're telling me that he just randomly dropped you like that. I'm like, yeah. She's like, did you tell anybody that you and this guy were going to go out? Did you tell anybody that may know him that you guys were going to go out? And I said, yeah, I told one of my friends. She said, now, why would you do that? Didn't I tell you there's no such thing as friends? I said, well, I don't know. Like, she knows him. I told her because maybe she could give me some good pointers. My grandma said she did that. She called him or said something or texted him something or sent someone to tell him something negative about you. And that is why he did that. Now you're going to learn your lesson when I tell you that there's no such thing as friends. And now you're going to learn your lesson when I tell you to keep women out of your business, especially your romantic affairs. Now, of course, I started crying because I was very sad. And my grandma was very cold with her delivery. But she said, you just got to learn, you just take the loss. There's nothing you can do about it. But now in the future, to keep women out of your business, especially when it comes to your romantic affairs, especially when they see that you're about to date somebody that is much high caliber than who they're with. At least you're going to learn how to keep them out of your business. Now, it's the way that this woman would smirk. And it's crazy because after we would go out, she kept doing this, where every time we would go out, she would ask me about this guy. She said, did you guys talk? Have you guys ever had? And this was a guy that went to my gym, that knew me, that knew my brother, that knew my mother. And he would always talk to us, and we would all just hang out in front of the weight racks. We would just joke around and laugh and talk. And him and my mother and brother, they would always just talk. Even when I didn't go to the gym, they would always just talk. And then all of a sudden, this guy got very cold with all of us. Like, he would just see my mom at the gym and just wave. He would see my brother at the gym, just wave. Like, he completely distanced himself, right? And then after that happened, that same friend was recommending for me to date some loser guy that she was friends with. That's who she was pushing me on, because her guy that she was dating or engaged to was a freaking loser, right? And that's why I've learned to only align yourself with women who are on your level as far as your mentality and the type of guys that you talk to, because they're going to always feel insecure when the kind of guy that you're targeting is a higher value man than the one that they're with, right? And anyways, a lot of you ladies have to understand that and gentlemen, a lot of opportunities and relationships ended for you because the narcissist that is in your environment talked bad about you. They made up some type of lie about you that you're not aware of. An influencer that I listened to online, she even gave a story about how she was dating a guy who was very, very wealthy. And she would bring him around her friends, and he would take them out, and they would go on boats and all this stuff. And I guess one friend got very jealous and found this guy's company email. She Googled this guy and found his company email and sent him an email about her and about her past, and sending explicit pictures of her to him, saying, look, she's a dirty whore. This is who you're about to get involved with. She's a gold digger. She's all about money. These are her pictures. These are some blogs that have been written up about her. And that guy forwarded that email to her and said, this, I think one of your friends sent me this about you. And she said, it's so funny because I already told the guy I was dating about my past. It's nothing new. He's not worried about my past. I already had these discussions with him. He knows everything. There's nothing about me that he doesn't know. So she was trying, and again, she thought that the guy was not going to tell her. So this girl was still trying to be her friend, even after sending that anonymous email to the guy. And they tracked down the email, and it was her friend's email. That's why I tell you guys, it's not about insecurity. I don't bring women around my man. I don't bring women around my personal affairs. I don't bring men around my personal affairs. If I have a project that I'm working on, I don't bring them around. I don't infiltrate people. I don't infiltrate people into that part of my life. Okay, that deep, right? So this is what her girlfriend did to her. So a lot of you guys, even gentlemen, the same thing applies to the gentlemen. A lot of you gentlemen, you had a big opportunity, a big job opportunity, and you told one of your guy friends while you guys were playing basketball, and they made a phone call and they destroyed that opportunity for you. And this is what narcissistic people do. They want to make sure they keep you lower than them. In their mental hierarchy, you're always supposed to be beneath them. And the way they do this is via sabotage. That's how they do it. This is what narcissistic family members do. I remember I had this family member. She would always try to jump on me, my mom, my brother, my father. She always had this aggression towards us. And there was a time where an incident happened where I told my family, I said, I feel like there's more to the story as to why this woman acts this way towards us. I really do. I think that something was said, because this level of aggression, it's not making sense. There has to be something that we don't know about. And because our family members are narcissistic Machiavellians, they like to, they like problems. Narcissistic people like problems in division. It energizes them. So I said that, they're like, no, she's just not a nice person. I don't think it's anything. 10 years later, we find out that this woman's mother was telling her that my mother was sleeping with her father. Essentially, my mother was the mistress sister. And then when I found out about this, I reached out to the whole family and I said, did you guys know that this was said? And I was already ready to cut off my family at this point because I just never really liked them. Now that I'm older, I realized that I didn't really like these people. I was kind of around them because, again, family, mothers, your mother's forcing you to have relationships with. If they weren't my family, they wouldn't be my friends. So if your family would not be your friends, that's a signal that you don't really like them, right? You're kind of just in proximity to these people because of, the sake of family or whatever. But if they weren't your family, they wouldn't be your friends, right? So I asked him, I'm like, can anybody explain to me how long this has been going on? When did this rumor start? They told me, it started in 2011. I said, so this woman was accusing my mother of sleeping with her husband since 2011, and you guys know that's not the truth, and you guys just sat there and nobody ever thought to bring this up to us. Nobody ever thought to schedule a meeting. Nobody ever thought that this is why this woman has been attacking us. They're like, oh no, we didn't want to get involved. I said, yeah, typical narcissistic Machiavellian response. You didn't want to get involved because you like chaos. But you know what? I'm going to make sure now you never have to worry about getting involved in anything because I'm cutting everybody off. And that was the last conversation, and that was 3 years ago, and they're never invited back in, right? So narcissistic people are very manipulative. They like to manipulate narratives and change people's viewpoints on you. I personally have said it before. Many women are possessed with the spirit of Jezebel because women like to manipulate other people's viewpoint on other women. Women like to create smear campaigns, and they like to destroy a woman's reputation early on because they're possessed by Jezebel and they feel inferior. So they want to get ahead of the game by spreading lies. Many women spread lies. Many men in relationships spread lies. When you decide to leave them and you decide that you don't want to be in a relationship with them anymore because they're toxic and abusive, they're going to start spreading lies. They're going to start trying to destroy your reputation. That is the next thing that the narcissistic man is going to do. The minute you try to leave him, he's going to go online and blast you and put out all of your personal business. You guys have to be aware of narcissists. As I've said before, if you met one narcissist, you've met all narcissists. Many people, I feel like, still have a hard time with spotting a narcissist. And it's really not hard, ladies and gentlemen, because all narcissists are the same. Once you know one narcissist, ladies and gentlemen, you know all narcissists. Narcissists are not difficult to spot. They have the same authoritative tendencies, and they like to manipulate narratives. They like to create cahoots and start stalking. That's why I tell you guys, if you're making friendships or you're dating new guys, like for me, if I'm making new friends or whatever, I'm exploring a friendship, none of them know that I'm your level up guru. They don't know that, because I have to get to know this person to find out the type of chick that she is. Does she have jealous tendencies? Is she a hidden narcissist, sociopath in the closet? I don't know. I have to get to know her over time. Because the minute they start to see that you're somebody with some type of notoriety, the next step they're going to do is love bombing you, getting as close to you, acting like they love you. And then when they gather enough data on you, they can go online and bash you. That's why it's important to not share your personal information with people. There are 2 women going back and forth online, and one of them, so disgusting, is airing out the other girl's business. And in my head, I'm like, again, this is what happens when you go and you share sensitive information with people, and then you get a little bit of notoriety, you get some type of platform. They are going to build their platform off of exposing you. And again, many women got upset when I made the why you have to be careful with women video, when I talked about when women stop being your friend, they're going to go online and try to destroy you with the information that they know. And that's why I say men don't tell women anything. Because the minute a woman is on bad terms with anybody, everything that you shared with them in confidence, they're going to go and post it online. It's always a reflex for them. Whatever you shared with them in your private time, whatever pains you shared with them, they're going to go online and blast you. Women will go online and put the receipts in the background and blast you. That's why anytime you're talking to men or women, talk to them like they're wearing a wire, like they're recording everything that you're saying, because they probably are. And they're probably going to save it for safekeeping. When I go online and I see a woman, a narcissist, a female narcissist, because that's what they do, airing out another woman's business, you're a loser to me. You're a freaking loser, and I'm going to block you. Any woman that goes online and starts posting screen images, photos, video recordings, you start doing that mess, I'm going to block your ass, because you are the type of woman that I tell women to stay away from. You gather data on people and then you save it for later. You gather data on a woman that you're building a friendship with. You allow her to share personal information with you, her hurts and her pains and her struggles. And the minute you're not friends with her, you go online and you try to blast her. It's the same thing with men. Ladies, if you're in a relationship and you're dating these men, please don't send them your nude pictures. Please don't do that. Please don't make a sex tape with them. Don't do that. Because it will be used against you in the future if the relationship does not work. If they have narcissistic tendencies, they are going to use all of that you shared with them as some form of leverage. Please avoid it. You cannot take down control freaks, Jezebels, and Leviathans if you don't have respect and boundaries. Respect and boundaries, part 2. All of us in life have our own individual power. The problem is when you give that away by being a habitual people pleaser. And respect and boundaries, part 2, we will be doing a deeper dive into how to respect yourself and how to also ensure that the people around you are giving you the same respect that you also give yourself. In addition to that, we have Defeat Jezebel and Leviathan on June 29th, following the Respect and Boundaries Part 2. In order to deal with lower level controlling entities, you need to know how to spot them within individuals and know how to navigate them. In other words, vampires, sociopaths, narcissists all fall under the Jezebel and Leviathan umbrella. In this class, I'm going to teach you how to spot people who have these entities operating in them, how to respond to them, and how to protect yourself from them on a both spiritual and physical level. You guys do not want to miss these master classes. Very, very important.